Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I am your host, Jason Osborne. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned and share them with us to learn from as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and get sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, or endless social media posting. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborne, and the link to my LinkedIn profile will be in the show notes below. Today's guest I'm excited to have on is Kashonna Marrow. She's the owner of Simply Kashonna and also has another trading name by Leading Forward, where she provides training and development, professional coaching, and speaking. So it is absolutely amazing to have you on the show today. And I want to start off by asking a question that I love starting off asking with, and it is this: if you were to somehow have some sort of time machine and travel back to when you started your very first business, what's the number one piece of advice that you would give yourself when you were just starting off?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Jason, for having me. I'm excited about being here. This time travel thing really makes me nervous because I'm always like, oh my goodness, what would I say to me? I would say take your time. I would say that it's your journey, and you're the only one that's going to be able to really walk the journey and accomplish what you need to accomplish. Again, we're inspired and motivated by so many other people, but no one does it like we do it. And so I think it's important to understand that and to embrace that and say it's okay to fail forward.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think the piece you've said around just taking your time and then it's your own journey. What's some of the biggest lessons you've learned from that about just taking your time and not trying to force everything to happen straight away?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I think that I have been so, and when I started off, I was so into watching other people and trying to duplicate what they were doing when it was
Mm,
not a good fit for me. It was kind of like fitting a circle into a square, making it,
yeah.
trying to make it fit when it wasn't my journey. It wasn't what I was necessarily called to do. And so, with
Mm,
that being said, I had to take a step back and really identify who I was and what was my purpose. And once I was able to do that, then I was able to really find my rhythm and find my cadence and know how to move and how to really be impactful the way I wanted to be impactful.
yeah, yeah, it's amazing. The journey, I think, to kind of find your own self in
Yes.
business is
Yes.
quite an interesting journey indeed. Is there a particular challenge that you've gone through? I'm not going to say is there one. I'm going to say which one because we all go
Yeah.
through 'em. But a challenge that you've been through in business that seemed almost surmountable to get through, but having gone through it, you're like, "Do you know what? If I hadn't have gone through that, I wouldn't be where I am today." And what were the lessons that you learned from that?
It's so interesting that you say that because, sometimes I am, or we may think of personal and professional separately, but the truth of the matter is they are very much so intertwined. How you
Mm,
show up personally is how you're going to show up professionally. Yes, professionally is your adapted self, but the truth of the matter is at some point, the real you is going to show up. And so I went through a divorce in my life, and I just thought that, I didn't know what to do because it was redefining who I was as a
mm,
person as well as a professional. So the choices that I began to make personally end up showing up professionally as well. So I had to work on that natural state, sharpen her, build her, develop her, and allow her to become who she was designed to be so that I could show up in my space, professionally and not be intimidated or not feel like I was not or I did not belong. And that's a
mm.
powerful, powerful moment for you to walk into your own and not be intimidated by the brilliance that's around you, but understand the power of collaboration. And I'm so, so glad that I had that opportunity. Yes, it was painful. Yes, it hurt. Yes, I felt like everything was falling under me, but I would not have traded it for the world because I am a better me because of it. And I got married.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing.
Yeah. Nice, Gabriel. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's I love what you're saying around this. And as a matter of fact, I was just speaking to a couple people around this, and someone had said, if you want the biggest personal development course, start a business.
Ah,
And it's so true when they said it, I was like, oh my God, that's that's very, very true. And when you go through those personal things, I've been through a divorce as well, and it does really redefine a lot of different things, and it does impact how you show up in your business. But it's a very phoenix moment, kind of rising from the ashes to choose to who you are now, who you are becoming, which I think is really impactful. Are there any particular keys or specific lessons that you've learned as you've progressed through the journey of your business, and some big takeaways that you just see other people making quite often that you've had to go through the school of hard knocks to learn yourself as well?
Absolutely. There are so many things, and I mean, I can name a few of them. But when I
Yeah.
think about it, I'm thinking about okay, um, again, embracing who I am and not who someone else is. Another powerful thing that I learned is that rest builds capacity. When I first
Mm.
started, Jason, I was on this whole trek to, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to stay up all night, in order to be successful. I got to, make sure that my family's put to the side and I just really focus in on this. I just had all of these, unfortunately, very famous things in terms of the way people say things, very, very famous quotes, and you can't sleep, I'll sleep when I'm dead, and all of these other things. But I had to understand that if I'm not rested, I am limited in my capacity. And I'm just talking about my capacity to create, my capacity to build, my capacity to be inspired, my capacity to receive. There are so many things that limit me when I am not rested.
Mm.
I also realize that I'm a limited resource. I am not all things, and I can't do everything at one time. We talk about multitasking, but multitasking is a myth. You cannot do multiple things great at one time. You have to allow yourself to be who you are and embrace where you are in the season of life that you're in.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
was the most powerful thing I think I learned. This season is not for me to be all over the place. It's for me to sit and be still and quiet and allow
Yeah.
myself to rest.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So many great truths in there. Um, okay, where's my next question? Because there's so much I want to ask you now. Let's go back to the whole rest thing. I think that's such a prevalent thing right now, where this whole hustle culture, and I think there's aspects of that are helpful. I mean, obviously, if you're building a business, you got to put a lot of work in to get the momentum going around that. But let me ask you the question around this. For anyone kind of struggling with that, are there a couple things that they can do that helps them to balance rest, but also where they're not feeling guilty, like when they need to be doing more? Because I've seen people kind of go, okay, they subscribe to the whole hustle culture, and then they kind of do a complete 180 around it, and then they just don't do enough, and you're like, well, they're wondering why their business isn't building. It's like, well, okay, you
Yes.
went way too far on the other side. So, what piece of advice do you have around that?
I laugh when you say that because you're absolutely right. People are like hustle, 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 and they're like, "Well, I'm resting," and I'm just resting. I'm like, "How long have you been resting?"
Yeah.
So you got to find that middle ground. And again, it's about knowing who you are. Not
Mm.
doing the copy paste, not trying to outrun someone else, or you see this person doing it, so you're trying to hurry up and do it. And it just does not work like that. It's really understanding the season that you're in. Now, Jason, there are sometimes I stay up late. There are sometimes I have to wake up early in the morning. There are sometimes, I have to go further and do more. But then there are those times where I absolutely don't. You got to
Mm.
know yourself. That's what I was talking about at the beginning when I say find your rhythm. Find your
Yeah.
rhythm, find your cadence, and find out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And then be okay with that. There are some things where people are like, oh, you should try this, you should try that. And I'm like, well, thank you for the offer. I don't have the bandwidth right now to do that. I've learned how to
Mm.
say no. And when
Yeah.
you learn how to say no, it empowers you. It enables you to do more of what you want to do and less of what you don't need to do. So yeah, that's what I think is important, to bring harmony, if you will, because we talk about balance, but is there really a such thing as balance? To bring harmony in your life and allow you to operate in the seasons that you have and be productive in those seasons.
Yeah, yeah. So many great things there. And I love the whole thing around the balance side. It is kind of a myth around that. I think you're always kind of on one side to the other. And what I've found, and just for me to be, this is kind of a truth I've found, is that when you do feel like everything's balanced, you usually end up stagnating because you're not in growth anymore. And you're going to get
Yes.
thrown off filter anyway. And you're going to get thrown into another challenge at some point, and then the balance is that way, and it's just life. I think life is developed to help us grow, and it's the nature of that. You're either growing or you're dying, one of the two. And so trying to keep that balance is it's so powerful. What you've said, so incredibly powerful. Well, what's your goals over the next 5 years? What are you looking to achieve in the business?
Well, I think it's dangerous to say the next 5 years.
Mm,
And here is why. Because studies show that every 2 to 3 years, even after students graduate from college, the information that they learned is no longer valid. So if you say
yeah,
2 to 3 years, I mean, I have an iPhone, right? And after 2 to 3 years, it's like, yeah, we're on to the next model. So I think
yeah,
it's kind of dangerous to say 5 years because life would change so much by then. So I would
yeah,
think the next 2 to 3 years.
yeah.
I'm looking at, where am I and how can I pour more into business owners? What can I do to make sure that everything that I have is left at the table when we're talking about going into corporations and organizations and training and developing their employees? I think I have a
Mhm.
very unique experience because I have this trifecta approach where I'm not only speaking, but I'm also coaching and I'm also training and developing. At the core of
Mm,
everything that I do, it's about people. And so I
yeah.
want to help people to become better. Now, I know I only have a little piece of the world to impact, but the beautiful thing about that is what I am gifted to do. So I'm determined in the next 2 to 3 years to make sure that it is all out on the table, that everything that I have is given to people to help people to live a better, stronger, more fulfilling life, not just professionally, but also personally.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. I love your enthusiasm around what you're doing as well. I love that. Some business owners, you speak to them and you're like, well, why are you doing what you're doing? You sound miserable. But yeah, I love it. I love the enthusiasm and just the inspiration that you bring to what you do, which is absolutely phenomenal. Well, if someone's looking to find out more about you, do you have a website, best place to get in contact with you?
I do. I do. Like I said, the coaching and the speaking piece, you can go to simplykashonna.com, and that's Simply, Kashonna, Kashonna. In terms of the training and development piece, where again, I work with organizations, corporations, nonprofit, as well as the federal space, that is leadersmoveforward.com. Again, that's leadersmoveforward.com. I am on all the social media platforms. Just Google me, you'll find me.
Amazing.
You'll find me there.
Amazing.
I would love, love, love to hear more and to work with you.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Kashonna. It's been an absolute pleasure. And as a reminder, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborne, and that will be in the show notes below.